Hello, in this video I will show you how to use the AR dashboard and customer management spreadsheet that I sell. I sell this on Etsy and also on my website. If you're interested, please check it out. I'll put the link in the description. So if you purchase this item on my website, it's a little bit cheaper, so check out the link in the description. So I built this dashboard mainly for a small business owner to track their account receivable balance or their invoice balance, right? To see, how much of those invoices are outstanding, what is your collection rate like, what's the overdue rate like, okay? So if you purchase this item, it will come with a Google Sheet template or Google Sheet and Excel template. And I'm showing you this in Excel. And this item come with 7 tabs. So the first tab you get here is basically kind of like instructions and give you an overview. And then the setup tab here is where you can, put in your company name and it'll flow to other parts of the template. And then here is where you can set up all your drop down menu. So any information that you set up here, it would be part of a drop down menu in the customer database, okay? So you can change any of these description here if you like, and you can add more as much as you like here as well, as long as they are in this blue cell, okay? And then the next tab is the customer database. So here's where you record all your customer information. You see, so here you can log your account owner if you have multiple account manager that manages invoice, then you can use this. Otherwise, you can just skip it and you can log your customer information here, your customer status, your billing and account receivable information, your customer address, whether a contract are signed or not. And then you can write other notes and comments here as well on the customer database. And then the cool thing is it automatically counts how many customer you have, okay? And then the AR tracker is basically here's where you link the customer that you set up on the customer database tab, and then you link the invoices to that, and then it automatically calculates the balance due, and then your payment or your collection status will tell you what the payment progress is, the payment status, whether it's partially paid, unpaid, or overdue. And then you have the AR aging buckets here. It will automatically categorize them into whether they're paid 1 to 30 days old, 61 to 90 days old, or 90 plus days old, okay? And then the AR aging report is automatically generated. So this is a pivot table. So every time when you make any changes to the AR tracker here, just come over here and refresh it. Just right click on it and then hit refresh, and then the data would automatically refresh for any customer that have a balance due, and it'll group it in its aging buckets as well. And then customer search is where you can come here and search any of your customer that you set up, and it'll give you information, AR information and AR aging information for that customer, okay? And then the AR dashboard is your control panel basically, and where you can visualize all your data for your AR information. So here on the left here is basically live data as of today. And then here on the top banner here is where you get the AR health. It's controlled by these months here. You can select any of the month or all of the months, and you can select any year here. So because I only enter in data for 2025, so I'll just pick 2025, and you can pick any month. So you can see the data is changing, right? And then this here, the top 5 customer by overdue amount, is also live data as of today. So it'll tell you what the top 5 customer with the balance due are, and it'll list the customer name, the balance due, current, overdue amount, percentage overdue, the number of invoice that's due, and then the total number of invoice and their credit limit. Okay? All right. So let's do an example. So first, when you get this, make sure you read the Start Here tab to familiarize yourself. And then setup here, make sure you input in your company name, because this will flow to the AR aging report, right? And then here, if you're not happy with these description here, or you want to add more, then feel free to change them. So then they can be part of the drop-down menu that goes into the customer database, okay? So because I'm using this as an example, so I'm not going to make any changes to it. But you can add as much as you like, right? You can add like a sample here as well. If I add sample here, you go to invoice method, right? you're going to see that the sample will show up, right? So just to show you, all right? Okay, so after you're happy with the setup, then you can go to customer database. So for example, we'll just set up one. So I'll just put the new setup here. Let's say I have account manager. So let's say I'll use John Doe, and I'll just put an example phone number, and this is the sample company, LLC, main contact, Jane Doe 2. Just make sure I'll just drag this down, and I'll drag down an example as well. Customer type, let's just say individual. Lead source, let's say we found it through a website, and then this is active, and then we can do as an example, right, payment terms. Select this. Prepaid, meaning they have to pay before you give them the service, but let's just do net 15. Let's say we're going to email, credit limit, let's say 5,000, tax EIN, just an example, software, industry, right? I'll just say retail, physical address, website. I'll just grab this as an example, but you can fill this out. And then contract signed, let's say it's signed, docs required. Yes, we receive all documents required, and then here you can just put a link to any of the saved document that you have, but I'm just showing examples, so I'll just drag that down, and here you can put any comments that you like. Okay, so you can fill out as much data as you need. If you don't have certain information, then you can just move on, and you don't have to fill it out. All right, so this is just basically a place for you to track your customer, and then once you're done with this, setting up your customer list, and you go to step 3. So here is where you link an invoice to your customer. So let's say I sent out an invoice to Sample Company LLC. So automatically you can see once I select a company name, it will automatically grab the customer number or customer ID, and then contact information, contact email, contact terms. This is actually contact phone number. So error there. So let me just change this to phone number. Okay. And then here, the invoice, you can put any invoice here. Invoice number, I'll just put an example. PO number would be, you can just put any PO number you like here. And then the invoice date would be, let's say is 7/14/2025. And then the due date, let's say, is 7/30/2025. Okay, and then the invoice amount, let's say 75,000. So if there's any late or interest payment that you require because this invoice is late, then you can put it here, and this will sum it up. Okay, so this can be like, right? So it'll just add this, but because there's no interest and fees because this item is not overdue yet, so we don't need to add anything there, but it's an option that you can add other amounts to it, so the total invoice will update. Okay, so let's say they pay us let's say $5,000 as of 7/1 or I'm sorry, 7/15. So the next day we got some money. Okay, so I got a question from some of the customer where they ask, okay, what if I have multiple payments? How would I record that? So the way this works is every invoice you have to create, like every unique invoice you have to create a line for it. But let's say you got 2 payments for this invoice here. So what you need to do is you log the first payment and then just put an equal sign, right? And then maybe 2 days later you got another 25,000, so you can just put there and just update this to the date that you received, the most recent 16. Okay, and you can go and put in the notes here what are different type of payments you got, right? So say first payment, you can just put a note here, right? We received, let's say at 7/14, or is it 7/15, something like that. We got 5K, right? And then we received a second payment for 25,000, right? Second payment for 25,000 at 7/16. So you can do that, right? It gives you information how many payments you receive, and you click on here, you can see there's 2 payments, right? So you can record as many payments as you need in here. So just make sure you go equal sign and then just add those two payments together. So calculate and just put in the latest date that you receive it. And here the balance due is 75. It'll automatically subtract the amount paid, and then the balance due is the remainder. And then here it tells you the payment progress. And here, because we only received some of the amount, so it says partially paid. And then this is not overdue because it's due on the 30th, but we already got some payment. And then the days overdue is negative 14. As I mentioned earlier, if the amount's in negative, that means it's not overdue, right? It's still current. All right. So after you fill this information out, then you can go to the AR aging report. So after you update the AR tracker, what you can do is go to AR aging report. Just click on any of the cell within the pivot table, right click, and then hit refresh. So you only need to do this if you use this in Excel, because Excel you have to manually update the pivot table. But if you use this in Google Sheet automatically update the pivot table, so you don't need to do this manual update if you're using a Google Sheet. Okay. So as you can see, when I click refresh, it automatically refreshes it, and you can see the numbers change earlier. So as you can see here, you see sample company here has 45,000 in the current bucket, right? So it's pretty neat. And then you can just highlight this and then print it out. Okay. Customer search, you can come here and search the customer. So you pick any customer you like, and then you pick that information, right? So the data will change or update according to that customer. And then the AR dashboard here, of course, you can pick any month, right? Or you can pick all, and then it gives you information for the month and the year that you selected, and also it gives you live data here as well. So that's pretty much how the account receivable performance dashboard works, and how this template works. So if you have any questions or concern, please reach out to me, and thank you so much for watching.